Hey guys, I'm back with another amazing episode and guest on the Manifestation Queen podcast. Today's guest is Vivi Dahms. She is a digital nomad and adventure lover and a travel manifester of note. I am not even kidding you. So Vivi has traveled to over 70 countries. I almost said 700. What the fuck? Okay. 70 countries by the age of 24. Without ever having a budget. And some of the times, she didn't even know how her month or her adventures would be funded. I mean, can you say manifesting queen here or what? So now she guides coaches and women to experience life deeper through adventure, creating the wildest experiences and making memories that fill their heart and their soul. So today you're going to hear my interview with Vivi, and this is going to be so much fun. If you are just so excited to be able to travel again once all this COVID madness dies down and we're able to actually cross borders again, then you want to definitely listen to this podcast episode. Or if you're looking for even better ways to enjoy yourself where you are, then this is the episode for you because we go deep into both of these topics with Vivi. I'm so excited. So with all of that being said, here you go. Here's the podcast episode. I hope you guys are doing great. If you love this episode, go on to iTunes, leave a 5-star review and a 5-star rating and a review. And I absolutely love that because then more cool people like you can find us. So go ahead, take a listen to this episode. And if you want to follow me even closer, if you're new to this podcast, you're new to me, I'm an intuitive abundance mentor. I have a group on Facebook called the Abundant Soul Social Club, where you can learn all about how to become abundant in your life, create a business that goes up to 6 figures and beyond. And if you're into masterminds, then follow me there because that's my favorite thing to offer. And that's what I'm offering a lot of these days. So have a great evening or day. Geez, it's evening here as I'm recording this. And let me know what you think of this episode. You can take a screenshot, tag me on Instagram at Cassie MacKenzie. I love sharing your thoughts. Bye. Are you ready for this? Let's do it. Welcome to the Manifestation Queen podcast, your filter-free and uncensored source for all things manifestation. I'm Cassie MacKenzie, and I'm a manifestation expert. I'm here to raise your vibes and your cash flow. Listen, I've manifested everything from a beer, a 6-figure salary, my husband, and homes, and more. And I am spilling everything I can on this podcast so you can learn how you can do the same. The more fun I have, the more manifestations appear, and the more money I make. So it's my obsession to show you how you can be, do, and have anything you want. So join the movement to raise your income and your impact on this world. Become a manifestation queen and create a life that feels like a vacation. Let's do the damn thing. Oh my God, you guys, I'm so excited. This is so perfect for the Manifestation Queen podcast because I have the travel manifestation queen on today. It's so much fun. So, okay, guys, today we have Vivi Dahms, and oh my gosh, I am really, really excited because I feel like Vivi and I are very, very similar because she's a digital nomad. She loves adventure. She's a world traveler, and she has been to over 70 countries by the age of 24. I don't even think the majority of Americans have been to 7 different states, much less 7 countries, much less 70 countries. So this is going to be such a fun conversation because she's also released her book, Travelfesting, and it's on Amazon. And so I think you're going to love this conversation because I feel my mission in life is to get people to enjoy their lives more, right? And a lot of that comes with seeing the freaking world, right? How do you feel more abundant than when you're able to go traveling and see the world? You know what I mean? So welcome, Vivi. I'm so excited you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, me too. So tell me, how did you realize that you were meant to travel too?
Oh my God. I think I've been literally traveling since I was a tiny kid. I was
Mm.
5 years old. My parents took me to my first out of Europe travel experience and hiking Himalayas in Nepal. And that was like the first big thing. And then at the age of 6, we went to Peru and Bolivia,
Oh my.
going up to Machu Picchu and just like full exploring, right? So
Mhm.
I literally had it from a very young age. And I also, there's a story before that, which is pretty funny. My parents, well, my mom was told she was not able to have kids. And then they traveled to Sri Lanka, and there was this like big temple, and my dad gave an offering to one of the gods that is like fulfilling wishes and prosperity. And he said he wants to have a daughter.
Oh,
And shortly after, there was I.
oh my God, no kidding.
So I think I was like manifested into, into the world from my parents. And it's so funny because I did not know this story. And when we went to India, I was the first time I went to India, I think I was 12 years old. I completely fell in love with the culture, with everything. And I just felt like I didn't know why.
Yeah.
Well, I did not know then that my parents put this offering to like the Hindu gods, you know, a
Yeah.
little before I was even like, born and all the things. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. So it's
Magic.
literally been given to me. Like I have the adventure in my blood.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much more powerful you can get than to be conceived out of a thought at a, Sri Lanka temple, praying to the god of prosperity. And I mean, hello, and riches. This is great. I love it. And as you're telling this story, it's 11:11. So I think this is like a
Oh
magical
my
hour. And
goodness. That's so perfect.
well, my husband's from South Africa, and he's one of 5 kids, and one of his brothers went through kind of like a sad divorce, like at a pretty early, like in his
Mm-hmm.
early, like it like his did not end up end what am I trying to say? I don't know if there is much more to say. Then it was just a sad divorce, right? So he ended up like, I don't know, somehow going to Sri Lanka, and they live in a really teeny tiny town in South Africa that like, the chances of him meeting the love of his life in this town, it's like probably somebody he went to high school with, like it's not like Cape Town or anything that's like huge, right? You've been to Cape Town too. I saw your pictures,
Yes.
right from, oh my God, it's like one of my favorite places. And so he ended up going to Sri Lanka, just like I think with some friends or whatever, just like a random trip. And he hardly ever that since I had known him left. I think he used to work on like super yachts and stuff like that, but like he didn't really
Wow.
travel a lot. Anyway, he met, the woman that ended up, and she actually flew from London down there. And so his like soon to be wife, they now have one kid, and they're like, she's pregnant with their
Oh,
second child. But that came out of a trip to Sri Lanka too. I'm starting to think it's a magical place for like creating your wildest dreams. So shit,
I
man.
believe
Hey,
so.
retreat in Sri Lanka for sure.
Coming up next year, maybe.
Yeah. As
That'd
soon as
be
you
so good.
too. Yeah. So yeah, you know what? So tell me a little bit about Travelfesting. Like, how did you get the idea to write your book, and who does it help?
People like years ago started asking me like, how do you travel so much? Like, how do you have the money for it? I was a student, I was in university, and everyone was like, how are you doing this? I don't understand. How do you have the money? How do you just like keep going? Like, how do you do it? And I'm like, I don't know. It's just so easy for me. I don't even know how to do it. I just do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Then here, check for me. I think you're really good at travel. No, I don't actually master me.
Oh, wait, hold
I'm,
on. You're breaking up some more. Hold on one second.
I'm breaking it more. Hold on.
Yeah,
Let me put
yeah.
on my data. Maybe that helps. Is this my internet?
Okay.
Is that better?
It is. It's just like when you go to talk, then it's like, it goes like robotic. And I want people to hear what you're saying because it's so cool. I wonder if with the video off, if that would help, because then it would be,
Okay, let's try.
let's try that. Sometimes that helps, because this happened when I interviewed Kiki and she was in Costa Rica. She had to, that helped, because then I guess it wasn't competing with the video processing. So I'll make a note then we can start here. I'm going to take out that part. Okay. Yeah. We'll just start from the beginning. I mean, not like the total beginning, but okay, cool. And I'll leave my video on like a weirdo, so you can look at me in the background.
Oh, that's
Travel fested bed right here.
So people a long time ago, when I went to university and after school, I took a year off. I traveled the full year, and people are just like, "How do you do it? Like, how do you have the money? How, like, I don't understand. Explain it to me. What is your budget? How do you do it?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just do it. You know, like." I don't even know how I do it. There's no like process or anything. I just do it. And this year, I really started looking at like, well, what's the process? And people told me I'm really good at manifesting travel. I'm like, no, I don't actually manifest travel. It just comes to me.
Yeah.
And people look at me and like, yeah, so you're manifesting it. Like, tell me, like, how do you do it? I'm like, I don't do anything. I just like feel called to go to a place, or I find a place I really like. I find a place I really like. Oh, I'll go there. And then, you know, a few weeks or months later, I just happen to be there. I don't know.
Yeah, like a lot of detachment from the outcome. It's just like you just assume it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's just absolute magic, right? I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I am manifesting it. So people told me like, okay, like we want to know more. So back in September, I wrote a book called Explore. It's like a little workbook on like how to explore more. And then people wanted more. And it really, really sold really well. It was like a really good success. And then I was told, okay, V, I think we want to know how you manifest your travels, because what you're doing, like, it's not normal. I'm like, okay, but it's actually really not. It's really not difficult. Like, you think it's difficult to travel, but it's not.
Well, I think that's it. It's like people they don't realize that like their belief system is driving everything. And it's all in that story that you're telling, like, oh, it's so hard to travel with kids. Oh, it's so hard to, it's so expensive to go anywhere. And it's like, well, that's what you think, then that's what it's going to be. But it doesn't have to be like that.
Exactly. It's so funny. I had people reaching out to me. I'm like, whenever I travel, it costs me an arm and a leg. I'm like, yeah, if you think that, it for sure will. Just be careful when you say that. I don't actually want you to lose your arm or your leg,
Right. I know.
So I literally like sat down. I'm like, okay, what is it that I'm doing? And I really had to look at the process, because it was so integrated, so easy for me, that for me it was just like, yeah, just do it. It's magic.
Yeah.
It just happens, right? So
Right.
I like decluttered the whole thing and I just wrote it out. And I'm like, okay, here it is. Take it. This is my process. I actually like for me, I'm so used to like manifesting travels right now. It's literally like an instant, right? Like I set my mind to it. I'm like, oh, I want to go there, and soon later I'll be there. But I really simplified it, put it into 30 days. So it's really easy. Anyone can do it. There's no more excuse for like, I cannot travel.
Right. Exactly. Well, my husband always says that he always tells people Cassie should be your travel agent because she gets the best deals on everything. And that's honestly like, it's like a passion of mine. I really feel like I'm meant to be like, we're meant to travel more. You know what I mean? And so
Absolutely.
like even last year, I ended up getting us a deal going to South Africa in December. And so we had no plans to go there, but I kind of got this ping of like, oh, let me just look into this and just see. Like, let me just see what kind of deal we can get, and
it ended up that like usually in December, it's the busiest season because a lot of people are coming from
Yeah.
Europe down there, and it's the festive holiday season. So like for a family of 4, because now our daughter, I think she had just turned, oh shit, man, we were dumb too. Like she had just turned 2, so we had to pay like, I think for
Oh no.
her too. But for the 4 of us to go, it was like, it's normally $9,000. I mean, not for me. Like I would never pay that much unless we were in like business class. But for most people who don't believe that they're great at getting good deals on travel, especially international travel, you know, that's what it would cost that time of year. But I found tickets for
Yeah.
$3,100 and I couldn't believe my eyes. I was like, we are
Wow.
on it. And you know what? We ended up actually getting to go to Germany too. Like we had a 24 or a 12-hour layover in Frankfurt. And so we were able to like hop out and go down into Frankfurt for the day and see the Christmas market and do that. And like the kids had so much fun on the train, and we had some pretzels and beers, and then like 12 hours later land in Cape Town, like, oh hey, welcome to Africa. Like we had quite the trip.
Oh my goodness, that sounds like an amazing experience.
Yeah, like we're really big on having the kids travel. Like they've been to, let's see, Liam went to Bali at the age of 1, and then we took him to Tijuana, Mexico before moving from San Diego. So he'd been to
Love it.
Mexico, Tijuana, like, I mean, Mexico, Bali, South Africa.
Mhm.
Well, then we took Stella, like when Stella was 6 months old, we went to Belize and then went to Spain for my 40th birthday. And it's so much fun traveling with them, like
Mhm.
it's so much fun. And I really feel like more people should be showing their kids the world, like making them, more worldly. I find that I don't know, like you're able to put things into such a different perspective when you see
Mhm.
the way that other people live. And I don't mean that like like other people living in like a poor state. I mean, like seeing how other people live their lives, because they're humans too, right? And there's more than one way to,
Mhm.
do things, right? So what's been like some of the biggest lessons that you've found, or like I don't know, like biggest eye-opening experiences you've had?
It's so good. You know what? There's an Indian proverb that I absolutely adore. It says, "If you love your child, send it traveling." And I find this like so fitting because if you really like love your children, you want them to experience the world, and you don't want to tell them like do this or do that. You want to show them the world and say, here, this is what the world looks like. Now you go out and do your own magic,
Oh, that's
right?
beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, so this is like my thing. I'm like, oh my God, like if you love your children, send them traveling,
Yeah.
take them with you, show them what's possible, show them what's out there. We always think our way is like the best, or the American way is the right way, the German way is, the proper way, or whatsoever. But there's so many perspectives out there. Like the world is so diverse
Mm-hmm.
that if we travel, two things I really learned: that you can literally get behind any thought and any belief from any point of view. Because if you understand where people come from, what people do always makes sense from their perspective, even if it doesn't make sense from your perspective. But what I learned is that people always try to do their best from where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
doesn't mean that it's the best for the world or the best from like 10 years from now, but from where they are right now, from what they know, from the situation that they're in,
Mm-hmm.
they tried their best. And
Yeah.
understanding this really helped me to see that the world isn't a bad place. And if you ever watch the news, you'll think like, oh my God, the world is a terrible place, There's
Yeah.
like bombs, terrorist attacks, and people
Mhm.
dying, and so bad stuff happening.
Yeah.
But
Totally.
actually traveling showed me that the world is so much more friendlier than I have ever thought. Like
Mhm.
I've gotten lost in places, I've gotten stuck, and strangers who really did not have any benefit in helping me helped me out again and again and again and again. And that just shows you that the world is actually a really good place. But if
Yeah.
we focus on portraying what bad people do, then this is all that we see.
Yeah. 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 The thing I started to notice too was like we all might look different, but underneath we're all the same. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, obviously that's, you know, an obvious thing, I guess, to notice, but like
I
I
love it.
saw it with like kids, you know what I mean? Like the kids are the same everywhere. They just
Yeah.
maybe play differently or have like different experiences. But like you see the kids on a playground in Spain playing with the kids from America, and they don't know any different. They're just acting, just like kids. And I think we could probably embody a lot more of that too. And it's so nice
Mhm.
to like show them different. Like I just see like some people, the way they teach their kids about how the world is, it's clear that they have no understanding how the world truly is. Because then some of
Yeah.
the lessons I've heard people like, some family members even with their kids, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like,
Mhm.
like, how in the world are you teaching them this? Like, that's not how it is. Like, it's not even close to how it is. You know what I mean? Like, even down to
Absolutely.
how we treat wildlife and how we treat like the little fishes in the sea. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
it's crazy. It's really crazy. And it's really, great to show everybody, what true living can feel. I feel like that's when you truly live, is when you're, you know, kicked out into a country where they don't really speak English, and you're just kind of like, I have no idea what those letters put together mean. Like, what the fuck? I don't know.
Oh yeah. And you honestly, like when you travel, you also get to experience your own country from a totally different perspective when you come back,
Oh, totally.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We sometimes forget that. We're like, oh, my country is like, some people are super like proud of their country. They're like, oh, my country is the best. In Germany, we have to think we're like, oh my God, my country sucks, because of our history. We're honestly like, we're not very like proud citizens, because of our history, which is fine. But then when you leave and you come back, you're like, oh, okay, actually there are a few things that are not as
Yeah.
bad, and we forget that sometimes.
I think that comes with like even the news, you know what I mean? Like people
Oh
watch
yeah.
news and then they just assume that whatever the person's telling them is the absolute truth. And so I agree with that 100%, because I feel like when you watch the news in America, you're kind of told to hate America if you really listen to the news that's being told. Like it's a shitty place, it's going to hell in a handbasket, like the leaders really suck, nobody's doing right. Look at all the homeless people, look at all the unemployment. And really, like when I step outside of my house, and like you said, when I go down to the beach and I see people from all over,
Mhm.
basically just having a good, like, and being nice to each other and kind to each other. I'm like, I don't really see any of this at all, guys. Like, I don't know where you're hanging out, but like, yeah, like these things
Not
that
in my neighborhood.
I know. Well, I mean, we, like, yes, those things exist, but that doesn't define our whole
Mhm.
society. Like, you cheapen the whole society by like, not noticing all the beauty that's actually there.
That's so true. Because if you look at how other countries see America and Americans,
Mm-hmm.
it is not a very good image, to be honest, right?
Oh, it's absolutely not. No way. Like we all look like a bunch of cowboy horse riding assholes, like but
Oh, yeah.
like
Hmm.
even in we were watching Love Actually the other day, and I'm like, damn, Billy Bob Thornton's a real dick in this movie. Like he's the Americans that's come to town. And then we put on Bridget Jones, and it's like, ooh, it's that American girl that stole the hot, like Hugh,
Hmm.
whatever his name is, Daniel Cleaver. Let's throw him away too.
Oh my God, it's so good. I love it.
Yeah. So, well, okay. Now, given the fact that now everybody says, and if you guys are listening to this, we're actually recording it on New Year's Eve. Like, what a more magical day. So I actually have two really, okay. Let me write these questions down, because sometimes I get excited and I'm like, okay. So, and if you've listened to this podcast, you know that's the truth, the absolute truth. And so
nothing but the truth.
No. So, okay, given that it is, I mean, obviously this has been a year that nobody really expected would go this way, right? You probably had on your list like about 18 other places you wanted to go to, and
yeah.
you know, things change. So how did that affect your plans, and how did you kind of like adjust and still, you know, manage to have, you know, like a year that brought you joy?
Wow. Well, to be honest, it was pretty tough at the beginning, because for me, travel was the thing that I did, you know, in my life. It was like pretty much the one and only thing I ever thought I'm good at. I don't know if you can be good at traveling or not,
You
but
can.
it's like the thing I do.
You can be absolute shit at traveling for sure.
So my whole life, like literally like evolved around traveling and being a digital nomad and exploring. And now seeing that, well, I can travel, I have to stay in one place for, well, it's been over a year, not being able to really go anywhere. Then there came a visa situation on top of it. And like, you know, there's like not one single flight that left Ottawa outside of Canada since March. Like, there are no international flights leaving Ottawa. Obviously, I could go to another country, but then I can't come back into Canada, right? So really seeing the whole situation, I really had to find out who I am without travel, because I defined myself through travel. Like, I was an adventure girl, you
Yeah.
know, adventure is my jam.
Yeah.
Now, how do you adventure at home? How do you adventure in your city? You know, it's, for me, it was super easy to live my life intentionally and fully while traveling.
Yeah.
But after 3 or 6 months, you get used to a place, and it's actually not that easy to keep going out, to keep exploring, to keep adventuring, because we get lazy, right? We're like, oh, well, the weather isn't good, we can do that tomorrow. Oh,
Yeah.
well, let's watch another like episode on Netflix, you know? It's so easy.
Right.
But if you only have like a certain amount of time in a place, you're not going to stay home and sit on your ass. You want to go out and explore and make the best out of this time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now everything that I had like put into my life intentionally literally like flew away. I'm like, wow, okay, now how do I play this game of life?
Yeah.
How do I do this being in one city, not really able to go to a bunch of places because, you know, more lockdowns, everything is closed and national parks are closed, and like can't go hiking, and I love hiking and I love viewpoints. And I'm like, well, what brings me joy?
Oh my gosh.
You know? So it was really like redefining who I am, looking at like other possibilities and enriching life in a confined space in one place. So we started doing like things like indoor picnics, indoor camping. Like, it sounds ridiculous, right? Like, you're like, what did you just do? Like, you put a freaking tent into your living room? Yes, we did that. And you know why? Because it creates a moment, it creates a memory, it's an experience. Because we all,
it does.
we do the same thing over and over and over again, we're not going to remember what we did during the year.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was really finding these things like, okay, what can we do differently? How can we give this a spin? How can we create a memory now? How can we be more intentional? Because as I said, when you're traveling, this is super easy. It is easy to make memories, to have amazing experience, to experience the sunset. Everything is magical when you're traveling. But if you're staying in one place, trying to make this magical for a whole year.
Right. So what could you go to Europe, or could you go back to, like, I see people going to Bali on like a digital nomad kind of visa. So what makes you want to keep returning back to Canada?
Oh, it's my boyfriend.
Okay. It's always the guy, right?
I know, right? So annoying. So, and the thing is, I don't know, like it's even like Bali. I'm trying to get some visas for some of my clients right now, and but Bali is a little bit complicated if you're not already there right now.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So there's like a lot of restrictions. I had a lot of digital nomad friends like in Colombia and Argentina, Brazil, and some places completely shut down and they had to come back. I had friends in India, they were like, oh, we have to leave. Like they are actually getting really upset that we're here. So
Oh,
there's no other option for us to leave.
yeah.
So that was when like flight prices like skyrocketed, and like a flight from like India back to Europe was like $5,000. You're like, please what?
Ouch. I know that hurt.
Yeah. So it just I was waiting. I honestly thought this is gonna be over within 2 weeks or a month.
Yeah.
Never in my life would I imagine this whole situation, obviously, but yeah, that is just like what kept me here. And then like everyone's saying, well, Europe isn't really a better place. Canada's pretty safe still. It's not open as like Florida, for example, but it's still like safe, it's calm, it's protected. It's a
Mm-hmm.
good place to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Focus on your business, focus on writing books, focus on other things, and
Yeah.
then go back to traveling later.
Yeah.
That felt like the best option, not the most adventurous, but
Mm.
I think in the long run, it's the best what it's for me and for my business.
For sure. Yeah. So what is next on your list then? Like if once everything opens back up again and life returns to, a little bit more of like travel normalcy, I guess, whatever that's going to look like.
Good question. However, that's
I
gonna
mean,
look
I was
like.
telling I was laughing about this the other day. I was like, you know what? Like, COVID has not really changed my obsession with not touching surfaces like on an airplane or, you know what I mean? Like, I was already like freaked out as hell, but for like having to like I always cleaned off my tray table and everything, like sanitized it already. Like this is just kind of like it's probably cleaner now than it was before, and I'm okay with that.
So funny. I'm not like that at all. I'm just like, all these like germs and stuff just make me stronger and
Yeah,
prevent me from getting sick in the country I'm going to. I'm good with that.
yeah, I know. Well, I worked in pharmaceutical sales for 20 years, so I had a pretty good like base going there, but it was just like, I don't know, something about seeing people sleep on the airplane floor, and I'm just like, oh my God, I've seen what goes there. I'm like, that's where, wait, your feet were just in that toilet where like people and the men always pee on the floor in the middle of like turbulence. Like,
Oh no. Oh my goodness. I do that in the airport, but I bring a blanket that is
yeah,
like, a blanket I don't care can get dirty. I put it on the floor and I
yeah,
literally like is like after the whole experience, it's dirty as hell, but
yeah.
it's a good blanket.
Yeah. So okay, what is on your top hot list then for when you get to travel again? Like when you can travel freely
Hmm.
and like eventually it's going to go back to some sort of like normal state. So where
Fingers
do you
crossed.
go next? I know, right?
So funny because I'm like the kind of person who really loves adventure and mountains and viewpoints, but I really feel called to going to the Bahamas. I
Oh,
don't know why. I'm like, I just like really feel like this is the next place. We
yeah.
have plans to go into Colombia. So
You.
everything was already planned,
Yeah.
So hopefully going back, exploring Colombia, which is like a beautiful country. And I definitely want to go back to Bali.
Hmm.
Um, you know, even to Bali. I don't need to say anything about it. It
Yeah.
has its own vibe, its own magic. So I definitely want to go back there. And then hopefully I would really love to do like one of these like African crossings, like Cairo to Cape Town or the other way around or something.
Yeah, my husband actually had a friend that did the bike trip. I can't remember what it was called, but it was like on a mountain bike or something like that. Like he
No
rode from,
way.
yeah, it was like from, what is that? The top, Morocco. It was from Morocco all the way
Hmm.
down to Cape Town. And you know what? My husband's family actually, they have a Yamaha dealership in Neisner in the Garden Route, and
Hmm.
he and his four brothers and his dad, or I guess three brothers, these four brothers and dad went on a motorbike trip from where they live in Neisner all the way through to Namibia. Like, and it was like the pictures from that were gorgeous too. So
Wow, that's amazing. Did you take your kids on a safari when you went to Africa last
not
winter?
yet. So this is like a sore subject. If you ask my husband, like I've been to Africa now 4 times and not once have I gotten on a safari. Not because,
What?
like, I know, right? Well, we've been to like the Neisner Elephant Park and like been,
Okay.
but not on like a safari or like a game farm or anything like that. Because the first time I went to visit him, it was right after we had just met, and he used to work on super yachts, like that show, Below Deck.
Mm.
And so he was traveling back home to go to his brother's wedding. And I was like, it was over December. And I was like, well, I'm unemployed. Like, I'll come see you down there. And I ended up staying for like 3 weeks. I was supposed to be there a week. And I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm going to Africa to see this guy I just met in San Diego. He talks funny, like.
I
So
love it.
yeah. And then so then the next year I went back again because because he had at that point moved to America and he was going to be down anyway. So we went again, and then we went when my son was 1 year old, and then brought both of the kids back last year. Thank God we did last year, because this year there's no chance in hell of going
Hmm.
there. Um, but yeah, every time we end up doing the same thing. We go to Cape Town, and I love Cape Town so much. I like go crawling back there, like to go to all the
Oh,
fun things. It's so pretty there. I love, like, I could totally live in Cape Town. It's so gorgeous. And but yeah, we never, and then the rest of the time we spend over in Neisner. So we need to squeeze out, like I'm waiting for like when we get to go for like 2 months, and we can
hmm.
like really truly experience it. Cause he has a couple of family members that go, like his aunt and uncle are like, I mean, they have perfected it, like perfected their, like their safari game is strong as hell. Like,
Wow.
so I'm like, I'm going with you guys. Next time we go, I'm going with you guys. How about you? Did you get to go yet?
Yes. So I did my internship in Tanzania, and then I did a road trip down to South Africa,
Awesome.
um, through Zambia and Zimbabwe and Botswana. And
Cool.
we've done a road trip from Cape Town to Johannesburg
Mhm.
through Lesotho and Swaziland. I think it's called
Uh-huh.
differently now, Aswanti or something. Anyways, so we went through literally all the national parks you can go to. We did all the self-driving safaris, and it was so much fun. We actually ended up on our last week. We were in Kruger National Park. We
Sweet.
almost ran we almost ran out of gas because we were the first ones at the gate. We were so excited. And
How
my
African
favorite
of you.
animals are leopards. So I'm like, I need to see a leopard. Well, that didn't happen, but I didn't give up till the last minute. So we almost didn't make it out of the park on time. We almost ran out of gas because, because I drove too much, obviously, but also we ended up getting stuck because a huge elephant family started crossing right in front of our car. And
Oh,
I'm like, oh no, like that's amazing. But you
mm,
guys really need to leave now because I don't have time to wait till the whole freaking family crosses
I
the
know.
street. I need to go because I need to leave the park on time before they close.
Oh my God, that's so awesome. I love it.
It's so funny. So they started crossing like one by one, and like the little kids were like playing. And I'm like, okay, they almost crossed the street. I can go now. And well, obviously, the mother was not so amused that this car that we were driving came a tiny bit close to them, and she started chasing them.
Oh no. Oh my God.
Yeah. Only allowed to drive like 40 kilometers an hour or something on the roads, right? So like no animal can like run in front of your car. I'm like, I have no option but to like just speed and like go.
God.
But
Oh,
we made it.
what an experience. Holy crap.
Oh my God,
That's
so good.
I love it.
So you definitely need to go. There's so much fun stuff happening in
Mhm.
safaris, especially the self-driving ones. I feel they're just so much fun.
Yeah, yeah. The closest thing we've done was the Naisna Elephant Park, which was cool. But it was definitely not the same. And then we went to Animal Kingdom at Disney, and they have a little safari that you drive
Oh,
through, but like they actually have a lot of animals there at that Animal Kingdom safari place, but that's the closest we've done. I gotta go do. Actually, we stayed right outside Cape Town. We stayed on a game farm one time that had like it had a lot of wild animals on it, but it didn't have like giraffes and like there wasn't a lion or anything like that.
I see, I see. What did your husband think about Animal Kingdom as they're like, coming from the place where the beautiful animals actually come from?
Yeah, yeah. Well, he was pretty impressed with like the operation of it all, like how they have,
Wow.
they're pretty good with like like the space they give them and stuff like that. But he's also really cynical. Like I remember when we first met and I lived in San Diego. San Diego has like one of the most world-renowned zoos there, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, hey, do you want to go to the zoo sometime? Like, and see the animals? Thinking like, oh, he's from Africa, maybe he'd like to do that. He's like, why do I want to go and see a bunch of depressed animals? I'm like, okay, I guess we'll just go to the bar and go see some depressed people instead. Like, that's cool.
Oh my goodness. Well, I think I would prefer the depressed animals.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. That's a really tough one.
Yeah, for sure. So, oh my God, I love it. But there's also like whale watching tours and things. We've done those before, like with the blue whales that come migrate down south to Mexico in the wintertime. And that's really cool. Like in San Diego, they know exactly where to find them. So that's been pretty cool. Yeah.
That's
So,
amazing.
well, tell everybody where you can, because I want to point out with your story earlier about Travelfesting in the book that you just released. It sounds to me like, it's what I see all the time. People first of all make manifestation like something special, And I really feel like it's been used as such a buzzword by people so much that it actually confuses a typical human, And so the other day I was like, I don't even like the word manifestation anymore. I think it just kind of like makes it seem like there's something magical that you're not truly grasping, and that's why people are like, you manifested it. And you're like, well, no, I just like, that's just how it is. Like, this is how it is for me. Like, this is me. So you've made it your identity that you are great at traveling, that you get way more out of it than you have to pay. And that, it's like super easy. And actually like you grow so much as a person, right? I mean, that's what I personally believe about it too. And
Absolutely.
So also you were just from what it sounds like to me is that you just perfected like listening to your intuition, like getting those nudges, getting the inspired actions that just were sent to you that you're like, oh, without second guessing it or starting to tell some story about what could go wrong, and that's like the biggest lesson I feel like you can take away from this, because a lot of people get in their heads so much. They get in their heads about how things get to be or how things have to be. And this is proof that in any area, it doesn't have to be just money, it doesn't have to be finding a boyfriend. It could be even traveling, right? Or what kind of house you get to live in, or whether you have to have a house, right? Like it all comes down to following that intuition. So, kudos to you for that, because like that is that's super huge.
Thank you. I think it's so funny because people like I hear it all the time from my clients. They're like, "Oh my God, like it's so complicated. Like there's so many things to take care of, you know? Like you want to be a digital nomad or you want to travel, you have to think about your insurance, your flight, where to stay, the places to see, where to eat. Oh my God, like all these things." I'm like, "No, okay, slow down.
Yeah.
What is it that you want? You know? What
Yeah.
is the vibe? What
Yeah.
is the intention?" So for me, it started to get really easy. I look at an Instagram picture and I feel it. I'm like, yes, that is it, you know?
Mhm.
And the rest doesn't matter. It will figure itself out, literally. It will come to you.
Mhm.
You don't need to know all the little details. And I think so many times people just get like hung up by the details. They're like, well, that flight has a 12-hour layover. Oh, I'm going to be so tired, you know, all the things which you don't want. Stick to the vision. It's gonna be just perfect.
Yeah.
Just go with it, stick with the vibe.
Yeah. Yeah. Follow the adventure because like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, there's also that component of overthinking things, right? Like how you do one thing is how you're going to do everything, right? And so if you overthink things in your normal life, then you'll probably try to take that on your travels too, which sucks the
Yeah.
fun out of it, you know? But you know, how do you find the balance between planning some things and then also leaving room open for, you know, like the universe to deliver or the endless possibilities to fall into place?
So I make it fun. Like for example, last year, I was in the Philippines and I had like the worst experience ever. I'm like, I'm not enjoying this. I just felt like I needed to go home. I'm like, I'm done with this.
Mhm.
And I wanted to go home for my mom's birthday. But the flights were just like ridiculously expensive. I'm like, I can't do this. Like, it's so much money. I don't want to pay it, but I also hate it here. What am I doing? Like, this is not the vibe. This is not what I want. I'm not enjoying it. The internet is terrible. This is no fun at all. So, literally, what I did, I'm just like, you know what? I gotta go home, but I'm not paying this price. Find another way. And literally 2 days later, I checked on the flights again. I just like felt like maybe you should just check on the flight, you know? Check on the flight again. I checked on the flight again. The flight was $500 cheaper. I'm like, wait,
Woo!
how?
Oh my God,
And
I'll take it. Look at
only
Dano.
that flight that arrived on the morning at 9 a.m. of my mom's birthday. I'm like, wow, thank
Perfect.
you. I take it. You
Yeah.
know, it's still like, what is there? Are you okay with that? Yes, you like it? Okay, go with it. You don't like it? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I want something else. But be specific with what you want. You
Yeah.
know, saying I want to go home. Well, I had friends that like got into like a massive accident and the insurance flew them home. Well, that's not what you want,
Yeah.
right?
Not ideal.
Be specific. I'm like, I want a good flight to go home.
Yeah.
So that is the whole thing. Be specific, make it fun, you know, enjoy your way, find your own way, you know, try different things out and just play with it. Don't take it too seriously. Like, it's not like it's one way or another. Like, you know, it's like flowy. It's like this, like, artistry of like playing with life.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love that. I don't think we could end on any better of a point than that, to be honest with you.
Oh, that's
Yes,
so good.
playing with life. I mean, that is the essence of traveling for sure. And just the essence of everything to embody going into 2021. Like, if you
Mm-hmm.
play with your life, then you know whatever life throws at you, it's going to be like, hey, how do we turn this into a party? You know?
Absolutely. I just started using these words so much, like, let's make it a party, you know? It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be
Oh
hard.
my God, I
Let's
had
make it
no
a
idea.
party.
That's so cool. I say that too. I'm like, oh, the party.
Oh my God, I love it. So good. Let's make it a party, you know? Whenever it's difficult, let's make it a
Yeah.
party. How can we make this fun?
So
And that's it.
awesome. Oh, that sounds like Stella's making it a party in the other room. Okay. So tell everybody, where can they find you on social media? Also, I'm going to put the link to your book in the show notes, so you guys will be able to find Vivi on, you know, all the places, but go ahead and tell them where they can find it too, just in case they're audio learners.
Thank you so much. So it is Adventure World on Instagram and on YouTube. my Facebook, it's just Vivi Dahms. And my book's called Travelfesting, and it's on Amazon. And that's all.
Cool. Travel.
All the fun things.
Yeah,
manifesting travel, you know.
I love it. This is straight up my alley for sure. So you guys go find Vivi, go get in her travel festing magic. And if you need help planning or doing anything like that, she's your girl. She'll help you out too. So
thank you so much.
Thank you, Vivi. Thanks for taking the time to come on the podcast. I absolutely love catching up with you. This is so much fun. And y'all stay tuned for more goodness coming in 2020, and have the best 2021. Woohoo!
Woo!
I had that.
Absolutely best.
Yeah, I think I had that backwards, but you guys know what I meant. Have the best
2021. We're all good.
So good. Okay, cool, guys. Have a great day. We'll talk soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks a million for choosing to push play on another episode of the Manifestation Queen podcast. You truly amaze me. And if this episode blew your mind, then please leave a 5-star rating and a quick review on iTunes so more people like you can become manifestation queens too. See you next time.